Welcome, welcome, welcome to Challa Law's weekly webinar on immigration. Today is April 27th, I believe. Yes, 27th. And we're going to talk today a little bit about the NBC and the waiver of adjustment interviews and other things. So let's give folks a few minutes to join, and we will get started. I hope you all have had a refreshing week. As you can see, I am back from India. It was a great trip, but thrilled to be back home, if you will. So it's nice to be back talking to you guys this week. So what's going on with the NBC? As you know, that USCIS is really trying to streamline its processes and make sure that they're processing cases more effectively and efficiently. One of the efforts in doing that is they are trying to make sure that the cases that don't need to be, where there's an interview, is not mandatory, that it's clear that the case is approvable, that they will go ahead and process it at the NBC and approve the case without an interview. For those cases where they've got some questions and concerns, you know, maybe it could be about, that's why I had been saying from the very beginning that folks should proactively file the I-45J instead of reactively. And if all the data and information and evidence is clear, then, you know, you may be waived for an interview. But if it's not, and there's some questions that they have, then they will send it to the local office for the interview. So let's talk a little bit about some of the clarifications that they recently provided to AILA. So they said one of the things is that the service center has a standard shipment schedule to send visa available to those folks who are. Hello, Shaker.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us, even though we can see that your IPL
Yes,
background.
the IPL is on the background. The chase is on.
Right. And so
we will make sure the chase does not happen, because Hyderabad scored 196 runs.
So is that good or bad?
That's good.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that the Gujarat folks don't score. You're looking good.
Thank you. So I was just getting ready to talk to people about the NBC and National Benefit Center and how some of the petitions are getting waived. So one of the things is EB1 cases, there's a standard shipment process. Now remember, it'll only go to the NBC after the I-140 is approved. So if your I-140 is approved, if not approved, then it's not going to go to the NBC yet. So
as if something is happening.
Shaker, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
So he's getting a little too excited about the IPL. So service centers have a standard shipment schedule for EB1 I-485s with approved I-140s for which biometrics have already been collected and the security checks have been initiated for final adjudication. So they said the only cases that will not be sent up there are live cases. What are live cases? Live cases are where the service centers have already initiated review and they may have issued an RFE or something of some sort. So those cases will not be transferred to the NBC, but all others should be. And for those I-45 applications transferred to the NBC, applicants should anticipate that those cases would be adjudicated by the NBC, and except for, you know, but they're not giving us very clear on what the processing time was. It was very fast a couple of months ago, but that was when they first started transferring cases to the NBC. And it's hard to assess how quickly they're turning them around. I mean, we had one case where, shortly after the biometrics, the EB1 case was approved. And, we were getting ready to submit an inquiry to see what was going on, and boom, their case was approved. So, the case must be current under the final action dates. And the National Benefit Center began reporting. We're hoping when the National Benefit Center will start reporting processing times. So we'll know when it's outside the normal processing times, but we haven't seen anything yet. And they are sending other, not only EB1 cases, but other EB cases where where they don't anticipate an interview would be needed. So that is good news. Another set of good news is that for some types of cases, at least we've seen it with DACA, and I'm sure it's going to be rolled out to others, that they're doing fingerprints for biometrics online. I would imagine it's something similar to when you do your fingerprint for to open up your iPhone, that you just stick your finger on some square and turn it around, and that way they can digitally take your fingerprint. So that should improve processing times tremendously as well. And as reported a couple of weeks ago, the consulates should start taking up cases on a regular basis starting this fall. And so we still have the backlogs, and so that's something we're going to have to deal with. But nevertheless, we are seeing that there are efforts to improve processing times. So we're going to start the questions earlier this week because there's not as much to report. And we've got, I don't know how many folks we've got on YouTube, but I want to say hi to the YouTube folks. Thank you for chiming in. Hi to our regulars, and happy to see anyone who's new to this process. I know that when we have been away for a while, it takes people some time before they understand that we're back to being regular. So I don't plan to be traveling anywhere till June. So you'll see me every Wednesday, and hope that you will join me and tell your friends to join us as well. So, Mr. Challa, are there any questions so far?
Yes, we'll start with a question from YouTube. Unnati Single wants to know, I have an approved I-140 and a pending I-485. Do you have advice using my I-797 or my L2 extension to extend my driver's license? Oh, that's Abhi's wife, looks like.
Right. You should be able to, if your extension is approved, and actually even if it's pending, they should extend your driver's license, but you also have an I-485 pending. So AOS should also, that status should also give you the ability to, especially since your I-140 is approved. DMVs are notorious for not understanding immigration documents. So I think I don't know if Ashley has joined us today.
I saw her. Maybe
So
not.
Ashley, is there extension approved or is it in process? Let me hear what
Ashley is not there.
Oh,
Ashley is not there yet. Yeah.
Okay, so Mrs. Single, I would say email us at the office, and I can give you a more tailored response to your question.
All right, next question from the box, Kranti Viranki. EB2 PD is 2012, August. EB3 I-140 downgrade along with 485 EAD AP was applied in October 2020 and filed a direct EB2 485 EAD AP November 2021, as my EB3 140 downgrade was still pending. EB3 EAD AP cards got approved in January 22, but USCIS closed my EB2 EAD AP cases in April 25th, saying, we closed your forms because the applicant or petitioner received a status or benefit through other means. Do they mean I can use EB3 EAD AP card in lieu of EB2, or were they supposed to approve EB2 EAD AP as well?
No, I mean,
Please
you are, you still have those two pathways, and you can continue to use your benefits obtained under your EB3, even though you've got your EB2 pending. So it didn't impact your EB2. They didn't withdraw your EB2. They just withdrew the work authorization and advance parole pursuant to that.
All right, Ashley just joined, just so that you know, if you want to ask her something.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I asked Mrs. Single to contact us directly so that we can give her a more tailored response to her question.
All right. Next question from YouTube, Vijay Chegudi. Hi, my 485 application has been transferred to NBC, and the next day it has transferred back to Texas Center. Not sure what's going on with my application. Is it normal?
That happens every once in a while. Sometimes it's a mistake, or sometimes there may be something with the adjudication that was not clear. So, it's strange that if your I-140 was already approved, I would just be guessing, it would be a blind guess to say why, but it does happen sometimes. I would wait for maybe 6 weeks and then try to make an inquiry. We had a YouTube video where we talked about different ways you can make an inquiry. Emma is not the only person that you can leverage to inquire about your case. So, we'll post, I'll have Lainey post what that YouTube video link is, so you can see other means by which you can check on the status of your case.
All right, next question is from Daryl Mulder regarding B1 bridging visa. I asked about last week. The B1 visa was denied because I had an approved E3. USCIS said my E3 is still valid. Am I still okay?
Yeah, as long as, so when you file for an extension, you are in a status authorized by the Attorney General. And so if your E3 was approved before your B1 was adjudicated, they did you a favor. Because if the B1 was adjudicated, last action rule would apply and you would be on a B1 instead of an E3. So you're in good shape.
And Daryl says, if anyone is visiting India, I highly recommend Kerala. It's a beautiful state to visit. I agree with you, Daryl. I've been to Kerala, beautiful countryside. Cochin, Ernakulam, Trivandrum, fantastic. Kovalam Beach, you won't go wrong. The backwaters of Kerala, lush greenery, fantastic. You're right.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I agree.
Yeah, and a lot of resorts for meditation and spa and all that stuff.
A lot of Ayurvedic and
Ayurvedic, yeah.
Retreats. Yeah, it's very good.
Very good. All right, Bala A from in YouTube is asking, and Bala, an Australian citizen working for multinational company for the last 4 years. FY22, my H1B got selected in lottery through company B. If I travel to United States on H1B or E3 and join company B, after 6 to 12 months, if I join back company A in USA, do I qualify for green card under EB1C?
Okay, so for EB1C, for those who don't know, are multinational manager executive. So there are 3 main criteria. Number one, it's got to be a multinational company which has a certain qualifying relationship between the overseas company and the US company. Parent, subsidiary, affiliate, a specifically defined affiliate, not what generally people think of with affiliates, and joint ventures. So it's got to meet the requisite qualifying relationship between the two entities. The employee must have worked in the overseas office for at least 1 year before leveraging the benefit of the multinational. And then finally, they have to work in the United States in the qualifying role of either executive or manager. So when you meet, if it indeed is, you said it's a multinational, but not all multinationals have that same qualifying relationship. So you got to make sure it's got the qualifying relationship. Then second, you've got to work for that overseas entity for at least 1 year out of the past 3 years. That means 3 years is your window. It doesn't have to be the immediate 3 years, but within a 3-year window, you would have had to have worked for that company overseas for 1 year.
Okay, next question from the box. Refiled at EB2 in April at NBC, I-140 approved in EB2. Also have a pending downgrade I-140 at Texas Service Center. Will USCIS adjudicate my EB2 adjustment if the date is current in EB2, or will USCIS wait for EB3 downgrade I-140 to be approved?
No. If your I-140 is approved, biometrics have been cleared, then they will proceed with whichever application has a current priority date according to the final action dates.
All right, next question from the YouTube, Divya Reddy. Lakshmi Garu, thanks for your time. My question is, do I need to start green card process from Perm if I change to new employer on H-1B from my current employer when I have I-485 pending for 6+ months? Can just file I-485J with new employer and continue on H-1B?
Yeah, so it's not just that your I-45 has been pending for 6 months. 3 things have to occur in order for you to leverage AC-21 portability of your permanent residence. Number 1, your I-140 must be approved. Number 2, yes, the I-45 has to be pending for 180 days. And remember, if you do an interfiling or anything else in the interim of the 180 days, that time gets triggered all over again. And number 3, you've got to work for same or similar employment. If all those 3 things are, you've met that criteria, then yes, you can work for your new employer simply by filing I-45J.
Next question from the NAA. Does the interfile reset the AC-21 180 days rule?
Yes.
All right. Next question from the box from another AA. Is USCIS transferring straight refiled EB2 I-145 cases from NBC to Texas Service Center if EB3 downgrade I-140 is still pending at Texas Service Center? Note, my EB2 is now current, so refiled in EB2 as a straight case, which went at NBC.
I think when they say NBC, they're saying Nebraska, sir. It should be Nebraska Service Center, so it's NSC.
Yeah, it says NBC.
Yeah, so maybe they had, if it's at whatever is current, and if your I-140 is approved and you've gone through the biometrics, it'll go to the National Benefit Center. Okay, so you have Nebraska Service Center, you've got the Texas Service Center, and you have the NVC, which is National Visa Center. NVC are for consulates. And then you have NBC, which is from the National Benefits Center. So since Ashley is now on, Ashley, are people filing directly with NBC, or I think you filed to the lockbox, and the lockbox is a lockbox sending them to, you want to unmute and answer that question? Yes, the lockbox. Okay. So they file with the lockbox, and oh, she can't unmute. Okay. Oh, you can't unmute. Let me see if I can do that for you, because we'd like to hear from Ashley. She's see. Try now to see it talking permitted. So you should be able to talk, Ashley. But there we go.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, so Ashley, tell us. Ashley is one of our legal eagles, and she is, I mean, I have never seen anyone so fixated on trying to find out what's going on with the NBC and the cases. So she spends evenings, even evenings, looking into this stuff. So Ashley, tell us what's going on with NBC.
We're speaking in reference to adjustment applications that are being sent out, all
Yes.
of the adjustment applications are being sent to the lock boxes, and then the lock boxes are distributing them.
And so will the lockbox distribute it directly to the NBC?
Yes, that's what they're saying that they're doing now. You know, and it's kind of in conjunction with the cases that we're seeing that are being transferred from the Texas Service Center also. Got it.
So to answer the person's question, no, you won't have to worry about whatever your pending case is. Since your I-140 that was recently filed with a 485 is already approved, and assuming that you've got the biometrics, right? They've got to do the biometrics before it's, or is that just for the EB1s? Ashley. Is she gone?
No, she's there.
Oh, Ashley.
I'm on. Yes.
Do the biometrics have to be cleared then? I guess they don't have to be cleared. If they're sending them directly from the lockbox to the NBC.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe. So maybe
that's accurate. Yeah.
Maybe for the cases that are currently with Nebraska and Texas, they're waiting for biometrics before sending them over. But for those that are newly filed, they're sending them directly to the National Benefit Center.
Yes.
And you had seen some, what was your assessment that you were telling me the other day about the cases that we had filed, a couple of months ago?
For the interfiling or just strictly for adjustment applications?
For the interfiling.
For the interfiling, unfortunately, we're not seeing any I-485 receipt notices being issued like USCIS had put out in their interfiling memo, which is a bummer for all of you people who have interfiled with us. But it's, we're seeing online that nobody is receiving those receipt notices. And instead, we've just seen actually in the last, few weeks that the cases that we interfiled in late January have been transferred to the National Benefits Center from, Texas for the most part. So things are hopefully looking up for those people as things are moving along.
So at least we got that transfer notice, and the transfer notice should have, I guess it would be this, some indication that it's been sent. So you do get an official transfer notice.
Yes.
The NBC. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Ashley. Anything else you want to add about the lockbox and the NBC and any other trends that you've been seeing?
No, I don't think so. Hopefully in the next few months, we'll see more guidance on the interfiling stuff from USCIS so that we can get people some more clear answers, because I know people are itching to figure out what's really going on, and so are we.
Yes, so thank you for chiming in and for constantly monitoring what's going on with all this stuff. And I'm sure your fiance is not so thrilled that you're doing that even from home late at night, but we appreciate your dedication. Thanks again.
Happy to do it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, next question from YouTube, Samson Paul. Hi, this is Sam, and I applied AOS in EB3 downgrade, and I'm current in EB3 as well as EB2 with 10/29/2011 priority date. So I haven't interfiled to EB2. Should I interfile? Please let me know.
Well, we talked about this just a little bit a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you can either interfile We also talked about maybe the benefit of filing if your EB2 is current right now with the way the NBC, the lockbox is sending cases directly to the NBC, there may be a benefit in filing a new EB2 I-45 application. I know it's expensive, but that may push your case along sooner than just doing it through an interfiling, especially with the new process.
All right. Our friend Daryl said that, he talked about Kerala and he said he stayed at the Amritapuri Ashram. That's very good. Very affordable and very, soothing. I think you've chosen a great ashram. So, thanks for sharing. All right. Abhi Singhal was saying, hi, Lakshmi, great news that the I-140 approved 0485. We've got our EAD with AP cards are already with us as we did it concurrently. What does it mean for our current status? When should we expect them to either have an interview or waive it? Will we receive the card in the mail and that's over? Are we still going forward with our L extension that ends 9/1? Thank you.
Yeah, I always think it's good to go forward with the L extension because it's, for issues like driver's license and other things, it just makes it easier to have that safety net. Now, we had seen earlier this year that once the I-140 was approved for an EB1, NBC approved the case very quickly. I don't know because we don't have the data on how many cases they're currently processing and how quickly they're processing them. So with that unsurety, I would go forward with the, with the L extension, just so there's no interruption in your ability for the driver's license. But next, what would happen is you'll get a letter stating that your case has been approved by the NBC. And then they say 6 to 8 weeks. I would say maybe 9 to 10 weeks, you should actually get the actual card in the mail. So I was thrilled when I heard that news of beer.
Yeah, very good. Bala from Australia was, I think he had a follow-up comment or question. He says, so we don't need to be continued working relationship at the time of filing for EB1C to meet one out of 3-year requirements?
No, you would have had to have worked for the overseas entity for at least 1 year out of, at least for 1 year in a 3-year window in order for you to be eligible to apply for an EB1C.
All right. Hunter from YouTube. Hi, want to know if Lincoln and Texas Service Center are no more processing I-485 applications. So the only way we can get GC is through transfers to NBC.
I have not heard that, but I will let my staff, if they've heard that. I think we still have Nebraska and Texas both processing. Yeah, so Ashley says she hasn't heard that either. So it's just that if the I-140 is already approved and you file your adjustment at the lockbox, they may send it directly to the NBC without sending it to Texas or Nebraska.
All right. Next question from YouTube. Sagar is asking, will USCIS transfer the case back to Texas Service Center if EB3 downgrade I-140 is pending and another straight EB2 case is pending at NBC? Thank you.
No.
No.
They are processed independently. They know that you're seeking the permanent residence benefit using 2 separate pathways, but they will, one is not dependent on the other.
All right, next question from AA from the box. When can I switch from EB3 to EB2 if my employer filed for AOS portability in existing EB3 2 months back? Have I-40 for both EB2 and EB3 approved, previous employer with more than 180 days?
If the I-140 is with the previous employer, and you're filing for a 45. Remember, when you file a 45 with an I-140, even if you've ported the EB3, it doesn't automatically mean you've ported the EB2. And that is the same case with like even interfilings. They say, as long as you have the present intent to work for that employer after your permanent residence approved, then you can file it. So I would think that the same would hold true, especially hold true if you're filing a brand new I-140 485.
All right, from YouTube, Soham. I got an email from USCIS for my 485. We have taken action on your case, but I don't see any change in status. Is it a glitch?
No, when they say they've taken action on your case, I don't know whether it's, your biometrics have been received or something else has happened. You can try calling the service center, or one of the other ways in which to contact USCIS to find out what exactly that means. I think we've put the link in the chat, or probably the chat or Q&A. So I would contact them to find out. It could mean so many things. So I wouldn't want to guess.
All right, Sagar Kulkarni wants to thank you for answering his question. Thank you, Sagar. Next question from the box, Ritesh Kumar. My I-485 downgrade is pending since October 2020, and 140 is approved in EB3. In May 2022 visa bulletin, my EB2 is current in chart B, date of filing chart. Is it better to leave the interfiling to EB2 as of now and do it interfile when chart A, final action chart, gets current in EB2 in future? I'm maintaining my H-1B status with the same employer.
So if your as I said earlier, if your I-140, EB2 I-140 final action dates are current, you may want to just file a brand new 485 instead of doing the interfiling, because then you could leverage the new process where they're sending it straight to the NBC. So,
Next question from an AA. Have you lately noticed transfers for EB2 straight 485 cases from National Benefit Center back to Texas if EB3 I-140 is pending? Thanks for your service to the community. We appreciate all the information.
No, but now that you said that, I'm pretty sure my team is their little interest in this will go up, and we'll report on it next week. I haven't noticed it as of yet, but we will check on it and try to see what's going on next week.
Thank you, Abhi, for your appreciation. Next question from the AA. My parents have a visitor visa and I'm on H-1B. They came to the United States on November 19th and their return flight is booked for May 11th. But my sister is coming to the US from Sydney in June, so we are planning to extend their return ticket. But we are planning they go to Canada on May 5th and leave the US within 6 months. Stay there for 7 weeks and then come back to the US in mid of June. Do we need any extension from USCIS CBP or inform them, or any other precautions we need to take? My parents are 74 years old. I have nobody in India to take care of them. I'm in US, my brother is in Canada, and sister is in Australia.
No, I mean, if they're going to Canada before the expiration of their 6 months and their visa is still valid, then they can re-enter. And what I would do when they re-enter is show some proof that, the sister's going to be visiting, so that's why they're coming back again, that they've been staying with the other brother, just so that if CBP should ask any questions, they have all the information to show that there is a reason that they're coming back. And they just didn't go to Canada to just have the ability to extend their stay in the US, but there was a valid reason. Brothers in Canada, they went to visit Canada, sisters coming, and so that's why they want to come back to the US.
Ritesh Kumar is following up to say, I just want to clarify, my priority date is current in date of filing chart. Final action chart is still 1 year away.
So I would wait until your final action date is current, and then I would file a new I-45.
All right. Well, there are no more questions. I have a question. So 2 of my friends' kids are coming to United States. One in Bangalore on student visa. He said his son has got an appointment in a drop box in Bangalore. But there's like a friend in Guntur, and his son has been trying to get on an appointment with the Hyderabad consulate, and is not getting any appointment online. They're releasing like a ration card, 5 in a day, 2 in a day, and a 3 in a day. Is there a drop box in Hyderabad?
There is, but it is by discretion. So when they allow for Dropbox for certain types of visas, it's a discretionary act. So, each consulate operates for when discretion, that means it's up to the person that's doing the review. So I would suspect closer to the time, if they're attending in the fall, then I'm sure they'll get a interview prior to, because they start to prioritize them come July. August.
That's
when is their
fall is the admission,
Yeah.
So, but that's highly inconsistent for United States consulate to have one rule in Bangalore and one rule in Hyderabad.
No, they have that same rule everywhere, but they are applied differently because of discretion. And quite frankly, if he's not coming in the fall, he's got a lot of time.
I know, but how impatient folks are here,
Gotta be patient.
So
Gotta be patient.
I can't answer on that part.
And
but
even if they got the visa, they couldn't enter anyway until a certain time period prior to their start date. So, I think they're panicking because they're just worried. So I would say, don't worry. They prioritize F1 cases closer to the time of their start date at the academic institution.
Right. So next question from AA. Thanks for your service to community, patiently answering all the questions. My 485 case is still pending, but I got my EAD and AP. If I get layoff due to some reason for a few months, will that impact my 485 case?
Yeah, I mean, you can work for same or similar. If your I-140 has been pending, 45 has been pending. I mean, I-140 is approved, 45 has been pending for 180 days. Remember, you can even work for yourself. You don't have to work for another employer. You can work for yourself pursuant to AC 21, but you have to work in same or similar employment. So if you can find a way to even work for yourself in case you're laid off, that would suffice for purposes of showing that you've got a continued valid job offer.
Right. Nitesh Kumar is back. He says, thanks for answering my query. Can we just do interfile to EB2 instead of refiling of I-485 in EB2 as employer is named for both the I-140s?
Sure, you can. I mean, you can do that. I just think that and they may, then Texas may, if it's current at that time, may automatically transfer it back to the NBC. So you can do it that way as well.
Next question from an AA. Is there any impact on pending EB2 I-145 straight case at National Benefit Center if EB3 downgrade I-140 got a RFE from Texas Service Center?
Should not. They're too independent. Now, it also depends on the type of RFE. If the RFE is about ability to pay, then that would hold true for, and it's the same part, that would hold true for the EB2 as well. But if it was for something other than that, it may not. I mean, there are two independent cases, but usually the underlying issue is similar, whether it's an EB2 or an EB3. So if it's an issue that it would also impact the EB2, then yes. If it is not, then it would not. But I'm trying to think of a situation where it would impact the EB3, but not impact the EB2.
Well, that's about all I have for questions. Just be sure that I'm not missing anything. That's it.
Well, I want to ask everyone to join us on social media. Lainey should send you all the links. Please, I appreciate all the appreciation you all have voiced today. As you can see, there's a lot of folks working really hard. Lainey is behind the scenes, kind of putting all this together, trying to gather all the information and consistently follow up with all the questions that we get on info@challalaw.com. So we should all give a great shout out to Lainey, who remember had a birthday a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago. I mean, time is kind of, so if you're appreciative of the work that we're doing, the greatest way you can show me appreciation is by sharing our details for our Telegram group, our Facebook, all our social media links with your friends, and invite them to join our webinar. That would be the greatest way greatest way to show your appreciation for the effort that my team puts in.
I just want to add that I'm in Hyderabad, for the next 3 days. If anybody out there would like to, see me on EB5 or any other immigration related issues, be glad to, see them. Just send an email to info@challalaw.com, and the team will direct to me, or I also receive a copy of that. So be glad to, talk to them. I'll be in Chennai for 2 weeks from next week. So if anybody wants to see me there, be glad to help. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Shaker, for taking time out of your very busy IPL. Let's hope that there is no chase. And
Oh, yes.
And so
Otherwise, it's going to be very hot. As it is, it's hot in India. We don't want
any more heat.
We hope sunrises will stop the chase.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And I see you guys next week, next Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly webinar.